Georgia really embarrasses the Gators. Final score was 42-7, and it looks like Jim McElwain might be gone pretty quick here. That's not because of this game, not because of all the other stuff, but excuse me, not because of this game, but just because of all the other stuff. And this game, this has gotten weird at Florida, which is an athletic department that does a pretty good job, generally speaking. So I'm not sure what is going on right now with McElwain and the Gators, but it appears to be a terminal relationship. He left the field holding his wife's hand. It feels like the Gators will have a new coach next year. Georgia absolutely throttled Florida. I mean, obviously in my lifetime, I've not seen this live. I've seen it on television before. But Florida had no interest in being here. In the first quarter, Georgia came out and punched them in the jaw, and Florida had no interest. I mean, I think I'd have to go back and look, but I know Georgia had 3 touchdowns in the first quarter, and I think the Gators might have had 1 first down. So it was ugly. I mean, it was totally ugly, and a lot of Georgia people were texting me as the game went on saying, I need 50 points. So Georgia scored 3 touchdowns, and the Gators had 2 first downs in the first quarter, and the game was over. I mean, it was over, and local Jacksonville, oh my God, local Jacksonville TV is killing Jim McElwain, and they're also showing Florida fans fighting in the stands, which is never a good look. But lot of really depressed Gators, and there's 2 reasons why. Okay, first of all, it's their own misery, but they have never been beaten like this before by the Dogs, not in their sort of recent memory. I mean, if you got gray hair, you can remember getting owned by Georgia, but this was an owning. And Kirby, all you need to know is at the end of the game, I asked Kirby, I can't remember how I put it. Maybe Wes remembers, I don't know. But I asked him about the reaction on the sideline when the Gators scored, and he said they were pissed. He was pissed, and the kids were pissed. So they certainly didn't seem happy. They had just blown out really their arch rival in the most important game of the year, and they were not pleased, really. I mean, honestly, they weren't. There was stuff to clean up. Game management from the quarterback position has got to be a little bit better at times. I don't know. And there's really not much to talk about from the passing game, with the exception. And see, Florida gives these weird statistics. It's hard for me to really just look at things. So yet another complaint about here in Jacksonville. It's tough. It's tough to read these stats sometimes. I'm sorry. It's just not that hard to do it the way everybody else does it. But Georgia had four completions, 1 interception. The key to this season for anyone that wants to beat the Dogs is they'd better stop the run. It's not like Jake Fromm is just like can't do anything, but there's moments where you look at it and you're going, he's definitely a freshman, and this is ugly. The pass that was the touchdown to Javon Wims, I think I would quickly be able to see this if these statistics were the way that everybody else does them. Javon Wims, 17-yard pass. That was a beautiful ball. And but the interception, you're just kind of going, what are you doing right there? And the clock management, I think it was back-to-back, I don't know what you're doing. But otherwise, I mean, that's it. That's really the only complaint was the touchdown and a little bit of weirdness and moments from game management from Jake Fromm. But, I mean, that's really being nitpicky. Georgia with almost 300 yards rushing. The Gators had a fair amount, a decent rush game. I'm telling you again, they were pissed at the end of the game, Georgia, because of the way that the kids who were in there at the end of the game played. So this is a different program. I mean, let me just go. I'm getting too narrowed in on this win. I mean, Georgia just destroyed Florida, and it doesn't look like it. These 2 programs are going in completely opposite directions. I've been saying that the entire week. When you want to pop your mouth off, and then you get your ass beat like this, I mean, that ain't going to work. and one of the two kids that was popping off had to get taken out of the game because DeAndre Swift popped him so hard, just drilled him, and the kid was just laying in the middle of the field. But this was a bloodbath from beginning to end, and I do not think the Gators wanted to be here today. I've never been here where one of the two teams, maybe 2009, I've never been here when one of the two teams just had no interest in being here. The Florida fans were late getting here. They were quick to leave. Georgia gets up 21-0, and it was just a sea of red. And even the Georgia fans started leaving after a while. It was so ugly. The celebration was muted. This is the 4th win over the Gators in 7 years, and this was the least celebrated win I've seen in Jacksonville ever. I mean, the kids just didn't seem to care. But again, it was such a bad beating. I don't know. But the only thing to be careful of right now, and I don't think I know every single result from around the country, and I'm using my cell phone to record this, of course, but I think Ohio State beat Penn State, right? Did I hear that correct? I think we're going to go on that assumption. I know TCU lost. So you're sitting here and you are in the middle of, probably being number 2 in the country. Yeah, Ohio State beat Penn State. Texas Christian loses to Iowa State, who is starting to look like a sleeper in the Big 12. Big 12's in trouble. And then Notre Dame beats NC State. So what I would say now is you're the number 2 team in the country. You've got a battle for basically the East next week. If you beat South Carolina, it's going to be hard for, Georgia. You're not done, but if you beat South Carolina, you have almost wrapped up the East. It's possible mathematically that you could have wrapped up the East if Kentucky loses tonight, which we won't know while I'm recording this. Georgia should beat South Carolina, and they should roll into that Auburn game. That game is your margin of error. If you beat Auburn, with everybody losing the way that they are, because the Big Ten champ was going to get in. That was, that's probably looking like Ohio State, Wisconsin, one of the two. So whoever there is going to get in. Georgia just needs to keep winning as much as they can, and if they keep playing like they do tonight, I mean, this was my lock of the week. I'm not surprised by this result. I'm not surprised by Notre Dame winning. This is a special season. They're going to play for the SEC championship in all likelihood. But they need to hammer down on these final 4 opponents of the year and get where they got to go, because they were not happy tonight when they left the field. And that they just beat their arch nemesis by about 100. So that tells you where this program is right now. I don't really know what else to say. This is as bad as I've seen Florida get beat in person. And a lot of people that I know were texting me saying I need them to score and go for 2 at the end of the game. They would have loved that, but that's not how it turned out. But it was an embarrassment of the Gators. Jim McElwain in dire straits. I don't know if he's going to be the coach at Florida on Monday. And, but Kirby Smart is, and Georgia will have to deal with South Carolina next week. The Dogs take on the Chickens. 7-0 Georgia. Are they 8-0? What are they now? Whatever they are. And South Carolina's 6-2. So that's an important game. Will Muschamp, Kirby Smart. Who would have ever thought? Signing off from Georgia's 42-7 win over the Gators. Dean Legge for Dog Post.